Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the North American Star Team League, here where we are seeing two teams going up against each other. We have Rox.Kis against Rain. Rox.Kis is currently up 1-0 after Adver just took out Artis in a big upset. We're going to head into game number 2 right now. Khaldor, we're going to see not Rox.Kis lives there. It's going to be, in fact, Frere. Rox.Kis Frere, he's been on that team forever against Rain's Axlav. Now, I do want to mention this is like Axlav's, I wouldn't say big debut because he has been with Rain for a little bit now, but I think this is his major tournament debut for Rain.
Yeah, I think so too. He just joined the team recently, and now he is facing, as you already mentioned, an old Brood War player. I think you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, well, Frere was a devious Protoss back in the day. I mean, this guy was so good. I remember just watching his games. His PvT was exceptional. Just all of his matchups were overall very strong. I wouldn't actually characterize him as like you know, a type of player, whether it be cheesy, whether it be macro style. He is pretty well versed in just all styles, and you know, it's just overall strength. It's like cost, you can say. It's just, he's really, really good. It's not like he has a particular super, you know, advantage over anybody. He just has the correct decision making. He has the good macro, and he's all around a solid player.
I'll be looking forward to see what he has up his sleeve when it comes down to facing Axlav, because Axlav is obviously a very accomplished player. He was already active in Warcraft 3, and he had actually he was in the best American 2-2 team with Strifecrow, and they always came up with unusual strategies to surprise their opponents. So I'm really happy to see him play StarCraft 2 as well. Although I have to say that in the Protoss versus Protoss, he's not all that strong in mirror matchups. He only has 36% in PvP with 24 wins and 43 losses. So let's see if he is going to beat his opponent and then win the first game for his team.
Yeah, well, something really interesting is happening over here with Frere. He's actually only put one probe on gas, and then he put the second one when the next probe actually completed, and then he put the third one completed. And then he gets a very quick assimilator, a second assimilator because of that, so he delays his gas a little bit. He will have enough for warp gate technology, but really, really interesting way to actually play this out. He only puts one on gas in the other assimilator. And he's just rallying more and more probes, so really interesting way to actually play out this PvP, get that double gas up, and we can see that Axlav, he's done the exact opposite. He's just put them on directly, so he has a lot more gas than his opponents. Look how much chrono boost he has, though. That is a lot of chrono boost saved up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's nearly on full energy. He's on 95 of 100, just waiting for the second gateway now. And both players are scouting everything. We already talked a little bit about, in one of our previous casts, about how Tal'Daram Altar is just a map where you tend to 4-gate your opponent, or where 4-gates are very, very strong, because you don't have that single ramp where you can put down a single force field to block the ramp, so it's very hard to defend, and 4-gates are very strong. And I actually expect that we are going to see at least a 4-gate of one of those players. Maybe a 3-gate into Blink Stars, we've seen that as well, but now with Frere going for 3 additional gates, we have the first of our 2 Protoss players going for the 4-gate.
Wow, and look how many sentries are coming out for Axlav. This is so many sentries at this point. That's a pretty hefty investment into gas. Now, a very common thing that actually happens on normal maps is a player will see so many sentries and just instantly tech to Colossus, knowing that you have no way to actually tech, and you have no like DPS units like Stalkers to actually deal with the Colossus. But on a map like Tal'Daram Altar, it's very uncommon for a player to actually go straight to Colossus tech, whether it be one gate robo into 3 gates or 2 gate robo into robo. It's just very, very uncommon. So I do sort of like what Axlav is doing. At the same time, that's still a very hefty investment into gas, and he has to be careful because Blink Stalker is very, very viable at this point in time.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting how XF is going to defend against that 4-gate that's about to hit him pretty soon. He has, as you already mentioned, a lot of sentries, so he can place down those force fields. And he went 2-gate into robotics, is going for the observer as his first unit chrono boosting. He saved up all the energy. You mentioned it, Gretorp. He saved up a lot of energy on the Nexus, so now he can invest it into the chrono boost at the robotics facility and will be able to squeeze out a couple of more sentries if need be, but with 5, he should be able to force field quite a lot at that choke point.
And here we go. The first couple stalkers going to come up here. The observer actually sees everything. Oh my goodness. It'd be very disastrous if Freyr actually goes all the way in, but no, he's going to back up. He sees the 2 force fields that go down. And of course, Axelav doesn't want to actually deal with that just yet until he gets those stalkers. Now that he has the stalker count, it's a lot more manageable. But consistently, Freyr is getting supply capped. I think we're going to see an engagement pretty soon.
And we have the first Immortal in a second joining the army of Axelav, so he will be in a very good position to actually deal with the Stalkers of Freyr. But you mentioned it earlier that Blink Stalkers would be really good for Freyr at this point in time, and he built the Twilight Council. He's not just now researching his Blink, so let's see how that's going to turn out.
Yep.
Still not attacking.
Blink just about halfway down. I think Freyr's just going to wait for that completely. But by that time, Axelav will probably have just about 3 Immortals out, maybe even 3.5, the 4th one on the way. And I don't think Blink Stalkers can really do much against that high of an Immortal count. I mean, that is just insane. You can't just blink up on top of your opponent. But don't get me wrong, the Blink is still going to be very useful. On a map like Tal'Darim Altar, you need Blink because it gives you a lot of map control. We're probably going to see that and just an expansion directly behind that once Freyr realizes that any attacks will be futile.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. With so many Immortals in the mix, I mean, we have 3 right now, a 4th one being built. Blink won't do you any good in a direct engagement because those Immortals dish out way too much damage to Stalkers. If you're facing, for example, 1 or 2 Colossi with a Blink Stalker army, then you can't just blink in and snipe them, but that is just too much right now. But it looks like Freyr is going to attack. At least he's looking for the engagement now, realizes that he probably should not fight against the Immortals, and is backing off again.
Yeah, needs to be very careful. Axelav, it looks like a tiny army, but these 3 Immortals just clean up so fast. That's why you don't see Blinks directly on top of this army. But, you know, it is kind of, it's close. Well, the 4th Immortal is here, but here we go. We might have the engagement. There goes the Guardian Shield.
Blinking in, sniping the first of those Immortals. The second one goes down as well. The Guardian Shield is active and he's trying to make the most out of those Blink Stalkers, but the Immortals already with 4 kills and 5. But nice snipe by Freyr. He's doing a lot of damage to Axelav right now, but still 55 against 50 supply. Very well done so far by Freyr, but in the end he couldn't do all that much damage. He killed the Immortals, but he has to back off anyways.
Yeah, you can see how much damage was actually dealt there. Oh, nice! Wow. Nice jail. Well, I was just about to say jailbait, but whatever.
Very nice force fields indeed. So he was able to trap 3 of the Stalkers. Blink was still in cooldown, so he could kill all of them. And still Freyr warping in additional units. He has a lot of Blink Stalkers. He's on 11 Blink Stalkers right now, going in for the kill once again.
Ooh, you don't want to be doing that against Immortals. Any amount of Immortals can really decimate your army, and from this, you can see Axelav has already taken his expansion. That's going to put him way, way ahead, but not just yet. I shouldn't say way, way ahead because it's 28 harvesters, 25. When you're at only 28 harvesters, you're not really looking in a situation where, you know, you're comfortably ahead. To get ahead, you want to be producing, you know, somewhere in the 30 to 40 region. That way your economy can actually go over the actual max, you know, the max income that you can get from a particular base. So for now, it's going to be just Axelav holding on for dear life, making sure that he doesn't die to any more aggression. And then from there, he can just simply macro and then just outmass his opponent.
And now we have another engagement between those 2 players. Still, Freyr has to blink away as he sees 2 Immortals in his opponent's army. And Axelav being able to saturate 2 minerals lines now has a slight advantage when it comes down to his income. He's on 900 against 700 minerals per minute. And slowly but steadily pulling ahead in supply. 81 already against 52. Freyr trying to build an expansion, but he sure is in a lot of trouble now.
Yes, he is. And additionally, he doesn't even have a robotics facility to actually help him out for his Blink Stalkers to be even more powerful, because you can blink up and down ramps, that kind of thing. That's not even a possibility anymore, of course, because now complete map control goes to Axlev. Axlev is doing the correct decision right before any of these shenanigans actually work out. You know, of course, the Blink Stalkers with the Observer. But he's going to pull back. I'm not sure if I love that pullback. I think he could have done a lot more damage if he just kept going. But he does have an Observer.
Yeah, he's waiting for the Warp Prism, I guess. He's just now building a Warp Prism and trying to get Colossi as well. So the Warp Prism being built for Axlev, he's trying to go for some kind of shenanigans. Well, Frere is now just trying to... He's just sniped the Observer, and he's trying to get into the same comfortable economical position that Axlev is in right now. 40 Harvesters against 33 though, and still Axlev with a huge lead in this game.
Yeah, not only does he have an advantage in economy, he has advantage in tech as well. He's getting that robotics bay. I'm not a big fan of Colossus on this map. I would really prefer, you know, the overdevelopment of your gateway units. You start teching towards those Archons. I think that's just such a, well, I shouldn't say such a better way, because I think both ways are definitely very viable. But, you know, Colossus is definitely going to be that power hitting unit. You need to establish some sort of map control before you actually push out, though, because you have to be very careful with counterattacks with that Blink Stalker. But Axlev is definitely a player that can get it done.
Yep, he is now researching extended thermal lands. Well, we have the first forge for Frere, and now a small engagement. Naga Watchtower once again sniping those Stalkers, and Frere has to retreat the force fields a little bit too late. Can't trap any additional Stalkers of his opponent, but the Warp Prism is getting into position now with 4 Zealots at the left side of the map.
Yep, and this will do potentially a lot of damage, at least outposition his opponent. You can see that Axlev units are just positioned in the front over here. Here comes that drop, and Frere doesn't actually react to this. The probes are getting eaten alive. He still hasn't pulled anything, and meanwhile, there you go. Axlev is going to be pushing up into the main, but nice force fields are going to be able to block that off. The Zealots are finally going to get cleaned up. And
hold that thought. We have units in the main base of Axlev as well. That's exactly why Frere didn't react. He was controlling the Zealots in the main base of Axlev and killing a lot of probes on his own, but still Axlev came out ahead. He killed 10 probes against 9. That Colossus is out on the field right now, helping to defend the base, while Axlev is putting more and more pressure onto the main base of his opponent, both in the main base itself and at the bottom, trying to get a good position onto the natural.
Yeah, thankfully Frere does have those sentries that are helping out so much. He needs to be careful. 2 sentries get picked off from 4 force fields. Nice force fields that were put down by Axlev just to take off an extra 200 gas from that army. That constitutes a lot, but he's going to back up from there. I don't think he has a lot left in this army. He wants to kind of wait. Just wait it out a little bit until he can get those power hitting units, as we were talking about before. The Colossus are out already. Thermal Lance is finished, so he has 9 range. He can go and snipe from that bottom ground onto that top.
Another warp into the main base of Axlev, and there's the Zealots trying to take down additional probes. The photon cannon of Axlev will be ready in a few seconds though, and the 2 Colossi don't have any problems at all dealing with the Zealots, killing both of them. They are sniping another probe, but that's all there is. And by now he should have realized that there is an observer, for Frere. Yes, he does. He scouts the pylon, and now there won't be any more warp-ins into the main base of a player from RGN.
Yep, he takes out the Observer as well, so a really nice pickoff over there. Additionally, we do see that it looks like Frere is going ahead and just blowing down his rocks, but the big question is, how does he actually deal with this Colossus? Because the Colossus obviously are in larger numbers than his opponent. He's actually looking like he wants to get his own Colossus, but you know, if he keeps producing like this, he just needs to cross his fingers and hope that he has a better engagement than his opponent, because if you're going to build Colossus, you have to realize that you will always be down since your opponent has been making his own Colossus. I don't know if that was the best decision, but it'll definitely be a tough battle. We can see the supplies are sitting at 104 to 150 almost, and Axlev looks to be putting the pressure on his opponent.
He's walking towards the natural right now, and he can put pressure onto the probes with those Colossi as extended thermal lance is done. He has 3 Colossi killing the assimilator and just waiting for his opponent to defend, because he knows fully well that Rox.Kis Frere has to do something to defend now. He has a really huge death ball, and that is just a fierce army.
Yeah, and Axlov is just going to sit a little bit, just wait until his pylons are actually up. He actually has to unsupply cap. There he goes, finally 154 to 180. He's warping more stuff. He's getting charge, he's getting +2, and he's also getting his Templar archives up. So I like what Axlov is doing. He's also expanding, so he's doing everything possible that he can to just stay ahead.
Did you see that probe run into the middle of the death ball of Axlov and just getting obliterated? One single probe, and Axlov didn't realize it until the probe was in the middle of the death ball. That's one poor probe. Oh god, that was so funny. The Chuck Norris probe, roundhouse kicking the whole army of Axlov. Not quite.
Not quite. That's exactly what he needs, though. He needs a Chuck Norris at this point because Frere is just looking in dire straits. This could actually help out a lot. Axlov sending in units for no reason. One Immortal is going to go down as well. TT, yo.
Waypoint issue. Is he really trying to get up that ramp?
He needs to be careful, man.
Yeah, he really does. He's getting a third, though, so right now he has a third base.
Yep.
Or he will in a few seconds.
And I do want to mention that the second robot was put down, so Frere is doing the measures needed to actually get back into that Colossus count. He's definitely increasing those numbers quite a bit. But as I say that, no! Axlov, don't send in free units. Axlov, he's warping in Archons, and that'll help out a lot, soaking up so much damage from those Colossus. Makes her a great tank shield, and you know, it just adds to the layers. I mean, there's one layer of Zealots, that's a layer that Colossus have to attack, and then now there's another layer of, you know, the range, I believe it's 3, yes, range 3 Archons, and then you have the Stalker Immortal range, and then you have the Colossus. Those are, you know, the levels at which the Colossus usually target down in order from smallest to largest.
We have another pylon at the bottom for Freya, so he tries to warp in additional zealots to punish his opponent's economy, but there are already cannons in place, and the problem for Freya is that he only has 38 probes on 2 bases against 58, and that has been going on for quite a while now. So one of the reasons why Axlov is so far ahead is Freya's inability to produce probes. He was always afraid that he would have been attacked and produced units instead of workers.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know what I mean, I understand where he's coming from. At the same time, he has to do that kind of stuff just because he's been behind the whole game. Ever since the 4-gate really failed, he's been on the back foot just trying to get back. He's been desperately defending against every single, you know, threat, every single push threat that so he hasn't been able to actually invest in probes, and this isn't going to help at all. Colossus are actually coming up here, but they have to be so careful because they're way out of position. A nice arc by Frere will give his Colossus a little bit of advantage, and oh my god, no! Axlov is clumping up all his Colossus. He loses 3 right off the bat. That's going to be the trigger, I think, for Frere to actually push out now. Is he going to do that? No.
Frey is doubling the amount of Colossi that Axlov has. He's on 8 Colossi against 4 of them. A lot of Archons for Axlov though. But regarding the Harvest account, Frey is just falling more and more behind. He really needs to have a huge win in the next battle because Axlov is in such a good position when it comes down to his economy. He already has 1,000 gas, and now Frere is attacking Axlov, splitting his army, attacking from 2 sides at once, trying to sandwich his opponent. And those units, those Colossi are in a lot of trouble trying to back off. The meat shield and the metal shield is just being killed within seconds, and only the Colossus survive. GG.
GG, and you know, that just shows the power of those Archons. They tanked forever. And the Colossus DPS, although it was 8 Colossus, they were not able to do enough damage to actually stop the Archons from progressing forward and getting within range. And I'm telling you, once an Archon gets in range, man, that is like GG no re. It's just like the most devastating hits that you can do to a Protoss army.
Yeah, indeed. So Axlov is winning this game and therefore ties the series 1-1.
Yep. So congratulations. Very straightforward game, even though it went pretty long. I think the failed 4-gate definitely hurt him, and then the failed Blinkstalker 4-gate definitely put him down even farther behind. Axlov did a very, very standard build. He defended against that perfectly, just took an expansion, macro lead, built up an army, and then attacked in, and then from that, he just retained an advantage. I think it was a really, really good play of just staying conservative and staying nice.
Yep, very well done.
So that being said, we're going to go into our third game in a little bit. As you said, Khaldor, 1-1 for the series. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away. Rain versus Teams Rox.Kis after this.